Hi everybody, and welcome to the EPiDev, formerly known as EPi Hours talk show. I am your guest host today. My name is Allan Thraen, and I'm broadcasting to you from Copenhagen. With us today we also have Henrik, if you want to give an introduction to yourself.
Hi, my name is Henrik. I work as a developer at EPiServer with the hosted services where Find is the main product.
Yeah. And we also have Ted with us.
All right, a couple of words. Hello, everybody.
Ted, if you could give an intro.
Sure. My name is Ted, and I'm an EPiServer dev based here in Stockholm, Sweden. That's where I am right now. And I've been working with EPiServer since forever, it seems, probably close to 8 years now. So my perspective today is obviously talk about sort of Find in some real-life use cases.
Great. Yeah, so that's who we are. I didn't say too much about me, but again, I'm based in Copenhagen, and I work for EPiServer and do technology evangelism and love to play around with different fun coding. Again, the show today is about EPiServer Find, and we'll take an in-depth look at that and how it works, how you can work with it as a developer. I'll give a good introduction to that, hopefully. If you have any questions along the way, just go ahead and put them on Twitter. We will be monitoring the EPiDev hashtag on Twitter throughout the next 30 minutes when we have a show. So with that, I would like to ask if maybe Henrik, you can give a brief introduction to what Find really is.
Yeah, Find at its core is basically an object mapper and a querying engine. Its backend is based on Elasticsearch. So that's the short introduction. On top of that, we have built more free text search features for developers to use to create their search pages and so forth. But at its core, it's pretty much an object mapper and a querying engine for.
And I actually, personally, I really like the object mapper part of it. I like the fact that it comes with a full .NET API that's really easy to use to just index and query data, as we'll see in just a moment here.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we try to keep the API as clean and neat and fluent as possible to make it easy to use and hopefully intuitive.
Perfect. So maybe I should just jump in and try to show a little bit of code, because I find, showing stuff to developers, code is always the best way to get started here. I'm going to share my screen here, and hopefully everybody should see Visual Studio up into the show here. So basically, with Find, it's in the core again. It's a query engine and an object mapper. And I've kind of tried to expose that here. So basically what I've done is that I found a database. I bought a database with a lot of hotels to have a good case here. And I already actually indexed the database, although indexing content is really easy. You basically take any kind of object. In this case, I made an object that's a hotel. With the various properties there's for a hotel. There's a name, a title, some address, some information about the price, rooms, ratings, that kind of thing. Features available. It can be a complex object, that's just fine. And basically what I've done is I have taken that and I've already indexed it. I've done that using an indexing client, which is the same as the general Find client. In this case, I have the client here, and there's basically an index method I have called and just put in my objects directly here. And it's running as a hosted service in the cloud, so I don't have to set anything up locally. I've just connected to this client, and in this case already instantiated it. I'm not going to index now because again, it's already in the database. But what I'm going to show you is how you can actually do searches against this database. Now, since I already, as I said, have a type, a hotel, I can do type-strong queries against my database looking for that specific element. For instance, I can go in here and I can do free text search in it, like search for something. We could search for Paris, and just by searching for Paris, we get some results. Let's try to run that. And basically what we'll see here is just the console app. It's very simple right now. We are showing 10 out of 3,600 results. That matches Paris. The search took 80 milliseconds on the server. And then we have the search results here. Hotel Paris FC, Hotel Paris Bryla, and so on and so forth. I could also just remove this one. What I'll get then is basically all results that are in the database. And if I do that, one thing that's interesting to see is just the size of the database. It's still not a very big database, but at least I have, close to 340,000 hotels around the world, and it's a cached search, so it was pretty quick. Again, you could search for something. You could also search for stuff like pool. Maybe we also wanted to have the word luxury. Somewhere in the contents, we could also say that some of these stuff should only appear in a specific field. Maybe it could be in the let's say the description field of the hotel. In this case, that's an HTML containing field. That doesn't really matter. So doing this query alone, we basically end up with 100,329 in the total result, and we get luxury in and suites as the top result here. Seeing I'm getting a little bit of noise, I'm just gonna, yeah, there we go. Sorry, Ted, you're muted for now, but I'll unmute you in a bit. So having that set up, you can start adding more stuff to this one. For instance, you could add filters. So you could filter down here, and you could say, well, I only want hotels where this and this matches, which could, in this case, be hotels. Let's say their star rating, for instance, should be greater than 3. I think it's on a 3 to 5 scale, so that would still be a fairly decent hotel. And looking there, we get other results of hotels. So you see the rating is, in this case, 5, 4.5. They're all greater than 3. We could also, of course, do other kinds of filters. We could do a terms filter, a terms facet. Sorry, no. We could do geographical filters. We could say hotels within a certain area. In this case, we could filter for hotels where the geo coordinates are within distance from. Then we could take, a known location, let's say the White House, and we could say, we want within 10 miles from the White House, like that there. So in this case, we've actually set it up so we will only see hotels within 10 miles from the White House. I don't know if there are actually any hotels that are matching pool and luxury in the description with a star rating greater than 3, but we can have a look and see. It actually turned out that we had a couple of hotels here. We had 59 in total, and 10 of them are shown here. Now, of course, we could go ahead and we could order this by adding an order by clause. And again, here we could compare and order by distance to certain things. We could order by the star rating. We could order by anything. In this case, let's order by the price. And in fact, let's order by descending price. Descending price, like that. So here we go. There we have the ordered by descending price. I'm not actually outputting the price here, but apparently you would want to stay at the Four Seasons Hotel if you're going to the White House. We also see they have a list of features. That's actually a string list on the hotel. We could set up, for instance, a facet on that. A facet basically is an aggregation, so you kind of get a count of the hotels you find, which you can insert here. Like in this case, I would want a terms facet for the features. We could similarly do a terms facet for a string, like the chain information, so which hotel chain it is. So we just add all this to our query, and quickly we'll see what we get. Like in this case here, we have the facets listed up here. So based on the features available to them, out of 59, 56 of them have a fitness room available. 43 of them have elevators available. 46 have lifts and so on. And we can see the chains. We have the Kimpton, the Westin, the Marriott, and so on and so forth down here listed. And then of course the hit still returned there. When you're dealing with stuff like this, you can of course also do other kinds of facets. You could do statistical facets, you could do geographical facets, you could do histograms based on date time. You could set up a range facet, so you could look at the hotel that we actually have not just a star rating, but we actually have a rating where we have the, like for instance, the cleanliness of the hotel. That's not that important to me. I would like to be more concerned about the dining facilities. So we could look at the dining rating, and then we could set up new. Let's see, that'll be different rates ranges we have, the numeric ranges. So numeric range, which again we list from 0 to 5, for instance, and a new numeric range here from 6 to 10. So there we get a range facet, and we can show that range facet here. So 17 get the dining rating 0 to 5, 42 are in the 6 to 10th. So that way we've easily set up these things, and basically you can take any one of these and convert it straight into a filter, and then filter on this. In this case, you could set up a filter on the dining. You could set up a term filter on the feature. The chain should be this and this, or the features should match swimming pool, which in fact was already a clause we put into the main search query. So you can do a lot of cool things here. You can just kind of extend on that all the time and add more and more stuff. Of course, you can do basic pagination as well here by going in and saying, skip the first 5, then take 20 if that's what you want. Another really cool feature here is that you can go in and set up a cache, which means that you'll actually cache the results on the client. So if you do have many queries coming in, you can cache them locally, so you don't have to call out to a cloud server all the time. Just cache it there. I don't know, Henrik and Ted, is there anything I'm missing here? And Ted, you're unmuted again.
No, I think you those are some pretty valid samples, but I can just say, from my point of view, if you're looking at something like an e-commerce website or app, this would obviously, queries could quite quickly become pretty complicated, and you would have multiple facets, etc. But I think the other way of looking at what Find is, or what it can be, is basically, for sort of a content-centric website, it would be basically a persistent cache. So that's what we use it for a lot of the time. So a lot of the actual queries from like real life, or at least on websites that I'm currently working on, most of the queries are fairly simple. So it would be like, wherever they're at on the website, give me all articles from this last month. Give them to me, order descending by start publish date, and that would be it. So basically, we just see that we write a whole lot less code for doing sort of listings like that, and ensuring they go like just blazingly fast, really.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the caching is extremely important in getting this to work in a nice fashion when you're done running it on a major website. I've seen customer examples where they have, been driving every single element on the page is driven by different queries to find, and if you run, for every page view, there might be 10 queries to find. Even though it's really fast and it's performance, you want to be caching and reusing that, and maybe even shipping it off to the server in one multiple search bundle.
Right, and I mean there are some gotchas like that, but I think they are, once you get the hang of it, I don't think that's it's not a big hurdle. But sure, you have to take it into consideration. But I think for us now, when we the way we use it, basically, what we see is that we have, when we talk to clients about how a website should be set up and what kind of sort of architecture we're going to use, a lot of the times when customers talk about Find, or they hear about it from like marketing material, they think search, and when they think search, just think about it from the perspective of a visitor coming to a site, typing something into a text box, and that would be the search that you do. And to me, Find is a whole lot more. It basically changes how you do that backend for whenever you put different pieces of content together for a specific context. So I think the first thing in order to be able to use Find is to make sure that you're working on a website where they have decided to actually use Find, since that's a cloud service that they sort of add on top of their other EPiServer products. So I think just that's an important aspect of it.
Absolutely, and I hope I kind of showed through in this example here that I mean, obviously Find is straightly integrated with EPiServer CMS, and it will soon also be on the Actron CMS. But it's so much more than just looking for the content you have there, because you can use it for any kind of data. You can take any kind of other data you have available and put that into Find and use that to create easy navigation or even big data learning, because you can basically scale Find up to any amount of data, really. Some good examples I've seen is travel agents that have all their vacation packages and their business data indexed in Find, and they can basically expose that through an API on their website. We've also seen real estate agents that have some pretty nice setup with the properties they own that doesn't even have a web page on its own to describe them, but basically indexing huge amounts of their business data and putting that into Find is quite essential. I've personally also done some projects where we work with user behavior, indexing that into Find, and trying to extract behavioral information and use that to improve a website indirectly. Because here we have an engine that's easy to work with that can scale to massive amounts of data, really.
Yeah, and I think from a developer perspective, it can be good to come from this angle with using the core client and the actual objects that you're querying, and then as you go along, there is a concept in Find regarding unified search that is basically for creating pure search pages with where you can kind of aggregate all your models into a unified model and create your general search page. And I see that there's a lot of people coming from that angle as that say that they want to create their primary target is creating the search page and coming just using unified search. But I think there are, even though unified search has some really nice optimizations, it's really good to know the core features because these core features is available in unified search and as in the core clients.
Yep. I was thinking maybe Ted, you have some live examples or some real examples from real life.
We won't be able to do any, I think, proper demos right now, because the thing is, like, all those websites, they're going to just be not really that exciting to have a look at, because a lot of it is just basically search or sites that are in Swedish, so I don't think it would make a whole lot of sense to sort of figure out what Find is doing. But what I'm not sure, I think Henrik is going to show us a little bit about the UI and what it looks like in sort of the backend, probably. But I would just like to stress again that, because I also noticed that there was a question on Twitter about if this is an add-on to the CMS, and I mean the answer is yes, it is an add-on. And it's not necessarily, I mean, Henrik, correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't really have to use EPiServer CMS to use Find, and you don't even have to use Commerce either. I mean, it's basically a standalone service, but obviously the SDK works really well in that it integrates with EPiServer products. So if you have an EPiServer CMS site, it's just plug and play to have all that content being indexed. But then if you're doing something with the console, like Allan's really neat UI here, then obviously, I mean, that it just proves that it's not really tied in with EPiServer, even though it integrates really well. But I think it's really important to just know that yes, it is an add-on, it is a cloud service, so you're going to have that that dependency, and you need to well, in a lot of cases, especially if you're starting on a new product, it's a good idea to decide on whether or not you're going to use Find from day one, because that is going to change how you can do things, and a lot of sort of development effort is just going to all the development effort is going to be reduced for sure if you're able to use Find. So and if you're looking at EPiServer and stuff like personalization, that it plays a huge role in being able to pull content from any part of a website really quickly and put that together based on personalization. So I think there are a lot of use cases, and I think like search doesn't really cut it to describe what it's really all about.
Absolutely. And just before we hand over to Henrik, I just want to show an example of how it could be used on a website. This is a demo site, though. But just to kind of point out that really this site here, which is a fake airline, features Find all over the place. Like, for instance, just a thing like sorting the from field here in the drop-down is actually a query in Find with a geographical search based on the current visitor geo IP location to get a sorted list of where they would want to go to. And the other list here would, of course, be alphabetical, but again, it's actually a query in Find. To find stuff, we have promotions of nearby and distant destinations. We can jump into a destination, and looking at that destination, well, basically you get stuff close by, that's a Find query. You get stuff in the same continent, that's a Find query, and so on and so forth. You can really just dive into tons and tons of Find queries and just use them to construct your website. I haven't even typed anything into the search yet. You don't have to do a free text search. You can just start using stuff here, and you know, here we basically have a numeric filter. I mean, that's all it is in Find, and so on and so forth, to kind of drill down to where you would want to go. So Henrik, do you want to show a bit about the backend?
Yeah, I can show some. That was a really nice demo. So I don't know if this is going to be so much more excited, but I can show some of the the more, if you want to do the search page and that's your primary goal. We have this. Let's see if I find my share screen up here. This concept of unified search, and that's basically. It's based on top of the core client, and as Ted said, that the core client that Allan showed it doesn't need the CMS or anything. It's you can connect it to anything. But then on top of that, of course, we have built integrations for CMS and commerce and all those things. And I'm going to show you the. See if it's visible now. This is our daily developer site. Just refresh it. So hopefully it responds.
While that is loading, can we just say, because I just read the entire question about that add-on thing, and so it's not the primary search engine. There's actually a Lucene-based search engine that's used for some of the internal sort of really trivial searches inside the EPiServer UI. So I think that answers the question, probably.
So yeah. I go ahead and do a search here on our page, and this is a pretty simple search page. Just basically lists all our pages, no matter what type of those pages, and gives a simple facet of the sections. But one of the more interesting things with this this page is that we can see the score of actual the matched score of the page, and when you use the unified search features in this is a CMS integration. I can add on to that. We basically tracks searches and also clicks on the site. So as user starts using your site, the result actually is going to reflect user behavior. For instance, if people now are searching for alloy on our site and they really want to know all about this or download this stuff, as now it's it's hard. I don't know if you saw that it was on the number 3 last time I clicked. So now I can actually click this page up the ranks. Now I've scaled it, so it's there has to be more users actually doing this to move your site, but the principle that you can actually collect user behavior to get your tweak your relevancy score.
So what you're saying?
Can I ask a question, Henrik?
Yeah.
Just because I haven't seen this before. I think it's really cool. But that in terms of tracking, we're obviously, I think we can look at that in a little bit about statistics. But this this only applies when you actually sort of track that search, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if we can have a look at a code sample, but for those of you who haven't looked at the Find API, basically whenever you do a search, you can just add in Fluent syntax .track to it, basically, to include it in statistics. So you would use that for searches that originate from a user on the site, as opposed to sort of a feature on the site.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is kind of the more pure like optimizations that we have done to the search, and I can go to the dashboard and we can look at this statistics view that Ted was mentioning, that whenever someone does a search, we're actually tracking it. And so here we can see that the last 24 hours 3 persons have searched for alloy, and I have to move it to we can see the clicks. Now it's a bit messy on the daily side, but you can see exactly what page they clicked, and also you can see if someone was searching for alloy, if they did search for something else, and so forth. So you can get some knowledge how your user behaves on your site.
And it can automatically learn from the user behavior.
Yeah, yes, exactly, as the boosting features there, click boosting features. But then you can also manually do optimizations that, for instance, you can add something called best bets, where you basically enter a search phrase and you decide to just put whatever content you will on top for that search. It could be a local page, document, or whatever. And there are some others. One feature is often used is the synonyms features to actually. I'm laughing. There's someone, Marcus Rules, where you actually just tweak the query before it's sent to. So you can. And this often is used when you get this knowledge when people also search for something else. You can actually just inject that synonym into the query, so they don't need to type that second query.
Can I just add a little bit to that? First of all, thank you, Marcus, for demo bombing us. Anyway, what we use it for, there are 2 things that I want to mention. First of all, this is for like web editors, so it could be that people search for some type of product, and you want to make sure that actually sort of triggers searches for, let's say, a product name that you have, etc. And also, if you look at statistics, you can figure out what people are searching for, but not getting any hits, for example. So that would be when you would use this. But one of the gotchas that I experienced when I started using Find was that I noticed that when I entered like synonyms, etc., that it wouldn't work. And and that's because you just have to ensure that if you want to use the synonyms that have been entered through the UI, that you have to explicitly say that you want to make use of related queries or best bets or synonyms, etc. And that makes perfect sense because sometimes you want to search sort of again from the concept or from the perspective of a site visitor, and sometimes you just want to make sort of a content filtering. And depending on what kind of search you want to do, you want to make sure that you sort of consciously decide whether or not to use these features. So just know that if you want to, if stuff doesn't show up in statistics, then it's probably because you're not doing any searches that you're tracking, etc.
Absolutely, thank you, Ted. I think we are just about done with our time here, so we should probably be rounding off. As we do that, I just want to quickly share this place here, find.episerver.com, which is a good place as a developer to go and get started because that's where you can basically sign up. And once you've signed up, you can go and you can say add a developer service. And then you can actually get a free find index hosted in the cloud just by selecting which language and the name of the index and accept the terms and conditions. And what you'll get is stuff like, I have one here. You'll basically get some configuration you can copy and paste into your app.config or web.config file. Then you download the find packages from the EPiServer NuGet feed and you're ready to get going. The example code I was showing earlier will be made available probably on GitHub fairly soon, and I will of course tweet out the link to everybody so they can find it then. If they want to play around with my hotels data and my hotels example, they are very welcome to. So with that, I think we are coming to an end. Any final words from Ted or Henrik?
I think any other questions, I think, I mean, you'll see us on EPiServer World and on Twitter, etc., obviously. So go ahead and ask any questions.
Great. Well, thank you, everybody. Signing up for this time. This was Allan from EPiServer in Copenhagen. Bye.